So here's the wild story about how I got a tooth pulled out and ended up in hospital with sepsis. So here we go. My face is still a little bit swollen here. So don't mind my talking and stuff. Anyways, I had a wisdom tooth down here pulled out. It was getting, it was decayed. So there was, it was not able to be saved, and I didn't want a root canal. So got it pulled out. That went totally fine. I went under mild sedation for it, so I was awake but super out of it. Went home the next day. My face started swelling up. It got a little red here, and then it got more red. I was home by myself. My parents were staying with me, but they'd taken the kids out for the day, dropped them off at a friend's house, and then I was just at home by myself to rest because I just had a tooth pulled out, so all I wanted to do was rest. Anyway, so it started swelling up, which is pretty normal. I texted the dentist and I was and I sent him a photo and I was is this normal? And he was yep. And then it got worse and my face started swelling up, but I was starting to get really sick, so I didn't notice really how bad it was because I was sick and my brain was out of it. Anyways, my neighbour came over, I think to feed my chickens apparently. She sometimes feeds my chickens for me, and she thought she'd come and check on me. And she looked at me and said, "Oh dear, we'd better take you into the hospital right away." So she took me in. I was going in and out of consciousness. I live rurally, an hour's drive out of town, so pretty far out. And I barely remember a lot of it. Anyway, she took me straight to the hospital, went into the ED, waited in the line for not very long. I got taken and seen right away. I've never gone into hospital and been seen so fast. Actually, maybe when I had emergency Caesar with my firstborn, that was probably only another time. Anyways, because the swelling started taking over my face, it got up to my eye, it went up to here, it started coming down my chest. I ended up in ICU after the first night in hospital. I got seen because it was my airways they were concerned about. So I ended up in the oh my goodness, my brain fog is real. Ended up in ICU, and then I had to go in for surgery, and they cut a hole in my neck and they put a drainage tube in, which helped the drainage come out of my face. And the swelling went from coming down my chest to it moved so quickly. But the story time is ending up to be really long, going into more details than I thought I would. Anyways, I said I'd give you a story time. So I don't really remember a lot of in the hospital. I was so sick and so out of it that I was just sleeping the whole time. I got put back in the ward because I wasn't in critical didn't need the critical care, so I got put back in the ward, and then they decided to put me into surgery again for the face swelling because it still wasn't going down as much as they wanted it to. So they put me back into a surgery which was super traumatic because they couldn't put a breathing tube in my mouth. It had to go through my nose, so they had to put the tube through my nose, and no amount of sedatives and stuff stopped that from hurting. It hurt so bad because they couldn't do it when I was asleep. They had to put the tube through my nose while I was awake. I remember that. I don't remember the surgery obviously because I was knocked out. That was probably the most traumatic thing of that whole of that whole experience. I was on morphine, tramadol, literally everything. The thing is the fentanyl, I think they give that to you when they've sedated you, but I was still had the fentanyl in my body when they woke me up from the tube, and then they had to take the tube out while I was awake, and I remember that, and it was horrific. They had me on real strong antibiotics as well, and that screws your body but also keeps you alive. Yay. Super thankful for that. Super thankful for the healthcare system, because otherwise I might not be alive if it wasn't for modern medicine, which is kind of crazy. So where are we? After the second surgery, I ended up back in ICU. After that, it took a couple of days and I felt real ill and out of it. They had to starve me because of the surgery, so I was vomiting a lot and really sick. I lost a huge amount of weight, my arms and things are scrawny. I've got no muscles on me now. I feel really weak and exhausted. It's crazy the effects it takes on you. I ended up spending 12 days in hospital in total, and now I'm finally home. which feels amazing, but I'm still like super weak, super exhausted, so I'm resting up. It is so hard as someone who is super outdoorsy and super active to be now like bedridden and unable to get out of bed, like super different to my normal outdoorsy life. I'm usually really strong and capable, and I do everything for everyone. I'm a single mum. I've got my 2 kids here on my own. It's, you know, like that's it. Having to learn to rest is really hard, and also resting when you have a toddler is extra hard. My big kid isn't with me now that I'm home. He's gone away for a couple of weeks. I have my toddler here, but my parents might be taking her with them when they go home for a little bit, so I can rest for a little bit longer. It's also really weird when you've had your kids with you like 24/7 and then all of a sudden they're not here, but I'm also super thankful for the people that have been looking after them and taking care of them. I think that was one of the hardest parts, obviously, about being in the hospital, was not having my babies with me. But the other thing that was a blessing in disguise was I'd wanted to wean my 2-year-old, and she is now fully weaned because she didn't have a choice while I was spending 12 days in hospital. Pretty scary. The test results came back with strep A and sepsis. Strep A, but it was like sepsis. I'm a bit confused about them. I think it was sepsis because the infection was in my blood and it was like all of that. The bacterial infection was strep A, I think. That's what it came back with. Yeah, super wild, super scary. Glad to be alive. And now we are recovering, which I know will take a while, but it is so hard to rest when you're used to being super active, but also I'm so weak that I manage to take care of my basic needs, get myself some food, heat up some lunch, and that's about it. It is so incredible to have the support that I've had. Like, honestly, the amount of support that I've had has been amazing. I also have a huge appreciation for the healthcare system now and the care that the nurses give you. Like, I've been in hospital a couple of times before, I know, but this time being so incapacitated and really getting to know all the nurses, because I was there for so long with them, and they were incredible. Like, when I woke up from being sedated, I had to be sedated for 12 hours after the second surgery, and when I'd woken up, the nurse had like washed me, she had braided my hair. In the ICU, they had like looked after me so impeccably, and I just felt really, I think, emotional about how they look after someone who's a complete stranger and they take care of them so well, and, you know, like, they take care of everything, even the most disgusting things. And yeah, I had a lot of different nurses looking after me, and I was such an appreciation for the healthcare and for the nurses and their hard work. And honestly, they don't get paid enough here in New Zealand. They don't get paid near enough for the care that they give you, and like just everything, you know. So yeah, I think that's about it. I will leave this now, and yeah, thanks for watching.